I just think it's transparency.
Right, yeah. Oh, I agree. Exactly.
All right. Call this meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join Commissioner and I in a short prayer.
Okay, let's take a moment and get in a prayerful mood. Heavenly Father, you said, knock and the door will be answered. We are here asking for your wisdom as we make decisions for those people that we represent. We thank you for a little touch of spring today. We look forward to many more days like this and better. And we ask that you in a special way watch over those who are protecting us and their families. We ask all this through your Son. Amen.
Roll call.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Kushner?
Here.
Commissioner Stacy?
I'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio-video recording of the previous board session from Valentine's Day.
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Kushner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Okay, adjustments. We're going to move the museum down in the order, and we're going to ask that the Old Fort team leadership go first. Is there any other adjustments?
None.
All right, let's do this.
Okay. My name is Sandy Adelsberger. I'm the teacher at Old Fort School that we've recently added a class to our curriculum called Teen Leadership Core. And we have 7 students in and one couldn't be here today. It is a group that is a nonprofit organization that everything is through corporate sponsorship, and we don't pay anything, I guess, aside from the teacher's salary in that case. But it's a period during the day where we get kids in the classroom and they get to have lots of leadership opportunities and such. I'll give you one of these. We did make a little slideshow, where they learn about different types of leadership and things like that. And they do lots of projects, and I'm gonna have them explain some of the projects that we've done thus far. But it's really been a blessing to us because we've been able to get kids in the classroom to help do a lot of the things that now these guys are involved in everything. There are probably 5 or 6 different things, and after school we don't get a lot of time where we can get kids to come in and volunteer some more of their time, so they get to use some class time and do some great things in the community, in the school, in various different places. So I'm going to let them stand up, say their names, and talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done.
Okay, I'm Morgan Miller. I'm a senior, and we've accomplished a lot of things this year as our first year. And one of the first things we did was help out with Volley for the Cure, which is one of the biggest events we hold at Old Fort, I'd say. And we helped get baskets together, get signs together to get people excited to raise awareness for breast cancer. And then we also helped with our student council to pep rally together, where we had lots of activities and trivia about breast cancer, lots of, like I said, activities that went with every fall sport so we could get everybody excited for the game. And we also had homecoming, where we helped with signs and helped decorate for the theme and for our dance and get everybody excited about celebrating our school.
My name's Kaylee Ivy. We've done the bake sales to help raise money for some of our individual projects, because some of them cost money, some of them don't. And then we also have done toilet talks, and we hang those in our bathrooms. So like when you go to the bathroom, you can kind of get a break and maybe laugh or see what's going on.
Okay. My name's Carly Colson, and I'm just going to talk about what we've learned through the class. We've learned the importance of recognizing leadership qualities in others, and especially ourselves. I know I have learned a lot of leadership qualities. We've learned that there are many different types of leaders throughout our teachers and our coaches and just our whole staff, and I think that's pretty great. We all have different ideas of leadership and leaders and leading, and we have different things that inspire us and different people who inspire us with different passions, and the class just really helps us understand that.
My name is Howard Chanos, and in October we attended a student conference in Norwalk, and there we met other TLC groups and expressed ideas and our group projects and just overall making friends. And then for Christmas we also helped out with the toy drive, and I think we helped over 20 families for Christmas.
So my name is Nicole, and so this year we did a basket for a student. She had a long-term illness, and she was constantly out, and she's part of our senior class, so it was really close to us. So we talked to our student body, and we managed to gather items and made together a basket to show her that we cared and that we were missing her at school. And then we also did a teddy bear toss, which is why we got all the stuffed animals piled in the corner. And so what we did was we talked together as a group, and we decided that what better cause than to gather stuffed animals to give to children and social services so that they would have something to hold on to. So then that started the teddy bear toss, and so we scheduled it for, it was February 15th, I do believe, against Calvert, and so we decided during the boys varsity game at halftime, everybody would toss their teddy bear onto the court. We gather them up, and I just want to say thank you to the bottom of my heart for our community. It was amazing. My goal was 100, and we managed to get over 200 teddy bears and stuffed animals. It's been a lot of fun.
Right, I'm Anna Winger, and we have different days of the week that we try to work with. So Thursdays are Thankful Thursday, so we try to write a type of letter or something to people in our community or someone that we really appreciate. So we'll send that out on Thursdays. And we also have a Family Friday, which we made big pillows during our class time, and then we'd go down to our gym, and then we would just talk together as a group about our day or our week, and kind of just have each other as our support. So, sometimes we do laugh, sometimes we cry a lot, we just have each other as our support. So like the awkward stages of high school, we kind of rely on each other and be each other's leaders sometimes.
So all of these kids also do an individual project, and they have to plan it and figure out how to get the money, whether it's something we raise from bake sales and whatnot, and then implement the plan and get everybody excited, hang signs up, do those kinds of things. So these guys, everybody has done theirs so far. Morgan and Anna are working on theirs in April yet, so we still have one more upcoming project yet. So they've done a great job. They're good leaders of tomorrow. So that's really it. We have the teddy bears. I know I think we're presenting them to you, aren't we?
Do you guys want to come up and we'll present the teddy bears to Job and Family Services? Do you guys want to say, how you might use these? And
Oh yeah, tell them, Nicole, why don't you tell them what we did with the last one?
So we went to Sandusky County Social Services earlier this week. And when we talked to them, we thought it was a good idea that as soon as a kid was entered into the system, that they would be able to be given a stuffed animal, so that they would have it with them during a difficult time to comfort them.
Great. Can you guys introduce yourselves and say how you...
I'm Jeff Sum, the Administrator for Children's Services.
And I'm Mindy Stroop. I'm one of the supervisors for Children's Services, and Nicole's the one who reached out to me, and we were so excited about this, and I just, too, am overwhelmed at the response from the community. I did not envision receiving this many for our kids, so we are very excited about this. We also made you guys a little certificate, nothing special, but it says, "Thank you very much." And it's signed by all of our Protective Services staff. They all couldn't come over today to accept these, so we're here on everyone's behalf and just really appreciate what you guys have done for our kids, especially at your age, to recognize that that's something, to show that kind of empathy, and it's just remarkable. So I'm very thankful.
Thank you very
We
much.
say thank you to you also. And we will take these wonderful hands you guys have. Yep, I said it was a good thing we drove separate because I don't know how we would have fit all these in one vehicle.
Couple hundred new passengers. Do we get to keep these? Are these for commissioners and
I can see the headline tomorrow. From kids.
Go ahead, take a toss.
All right. Get ready for the slap thing?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Nate's sitting there thinking, you better hold on to that.
And I might see you guys at the game tonight.
Thank you, guys.
You guys are welcome to stay, obviously, but you're
Well, somebody mentioned that, that they found so many things that are inspiration. I gotta tell you, the young folks are true inspiration to us as well, because the fabric of Seneca County is kind of put together by the number of volunteer groups that we have. Representation Day, for example, from the museum, but we have volunteer firemen, volunteer EMS, and a number of people that sit on boards and give of their time and talent. You guys are kind of showing that that's not gonna die. That's gonna continue on, and we certainly appreciate the next generation being part of the volunteer fabric of Seneca County. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Feel free to go to college, but please come back.
That's right.
Okay, let's do the administrator's report.
Sure. I knew we had a lot going on, so I don't have much. Couple things, though. We got our notification from Corsa on our incentive program. The max credit that we were able to get was $11,826, and the credit we received is the $11,826. Give a lot of credit towards Kylie. She's been doing a lot of work trying to get familiar with this program and active on doing some of the processes that it takes to get us the discount for our insurance. And thanks to the elected officials, some that come into those meetings is just as important, so they do get involved, so we appreciate that, and thought it was good to know that we got our discount. It's not a lot, but every bit helps. The auction, I talked to Bill Jones. We're actually gonna be meeting down there today to go through the building at 108 Jefferson Street. We've set the date for the auction, May 14th at 10:30 a.m. and we will do it at the site. So we've decided to do the absolute auction, basically no reserve auction. So we're hoping to get a lot of publicity. We've got a lot of good ideas that
I've actually been told that there are four probable bidders at this point. So.
Yeah, we've had quite a few calls lately, and so it's good news for us. Good news that people are.
Yeah, we're actively showing it, so if
Yes.
anybody has an interest in the building, we can get them in.
Yep.
So they can start thinking about it.
Yep, we're gonna set a couple, after we talk to them today, quite a few dates to have like an open house.
It's,
So that we're,
it's the old library for
Yeah.
anybody.
the old juvenile probate court. So that's good news. We'll get those going, get those advertised. Let's see, what else did that's bonus. I think that's all I had for today.
We had some applications for use of the courthouse lawn and the courthouse common areas.
Yes.
My concern is I don't know what all the concerns are and what we should be looking at in that regard with all the stakeholders. I looked at the previous document that was prepared, and I think some of it is probably really good, but some of it I think we need to revisit, because when the original plan was done, there weren't any sidewalks. We didn't have new sod. We didn't have a building in place. So I just think we should probably get the stakeholders together and revisit that, because there's some strong opinions on some of the applications that I just didn't understand the concerns.
Yeah, I think, like the farmer's market, I think obviously that's a given, because we're not really using a lot of the property, but I agree with Commissioner Thomas in that, once we start landscaping and those kind of things, I don't know what the timing's gonna be and whether there'll be construction equipment there and, what the path is or how much of the lawn we could use. So I think we probably need to look at those a little more closely than we have.
Yeah. And I think one of them was a request from another county department to just be able to display some items in the building that was not met with a lot of favorability on it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to understand, so I just think if we could get together with the stakeholders or representatives of the stakeholders, that way we can be very clear about how we want to do this in the future. You know, the other thing that's coming up is if the city passes the DORA, you know, we need to understand what we want our responsibility to be there and what kind of uses can be used. So, just to make sure we understand what the concerns are.
So at this point, we need the commissioners, the judges, who else's approval for anything that happens on the courthouse lawn or Justice Center?
The original, or the updated application, we just did, the judges, the two judges, common pleas judges, the other two were not there when we created this. And then the sheriff to determine whether it's security or no security needed. And then usually you guys would just tell me and I'd sign it as administrator, so.
Sure, okay. All right, you're right. I mean, we need to talk about this, you know, municipal court, somebody, an official from the city now, because it's 25% there. Okay, good. So we need to revisit.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could maybe just work with people's schedules and see if we can get something. You know, we'll continue to operate the way we're operating now, I guess, until we have a further conversation. But
Yeah, this one request is, they want to do it at the beginning of April, so.
that's pretty
It's
quick.
coming up soon. I mean, the direction I kind of got from some replies was,
Mine was, looks great,
Yeah.
love it.
but there was others with some concerns.
Oh.
So, she's done these before on the lawn outside. I think it was a matter of just because of the time of year with potential wind and rain, that she thought it would be better to try to do it inside, but I didn't have much support that way, so.
April showers, right?
Yeah, so, I'll try to let's get something set up quickly to see if that can be part of the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had people ask about doing a display in the Justice Center. I mean, we spent a lot of money, a lot of taxpayer money there. You know, it's a public space. Okay, so museum, do you have anything else for Mr. Dickinson? Are you guys ready?
I guess.
All right, excellent.
You have it on the thing there?
This one?
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Okay, first I want to apologize for being late. I got up and I had a flat tire on the front of my Envoy. So I had to wait. Luckily the kids had got me a air compressor for Christmas, so I had to wait for that to power up so I could get here, so.
Yeah.
At least I made it.
Is it gonna hold air? Are we gonna be okay, or do we need to call maintenance?
It's out there, but we'll see. Anyways, just a little overview of what all's happened at the museum this year. We took some things out and put in for the end of the year here, so I'll try to make it short. The Seneca County Museum Director Report, January to December. From January to December, we had 1,634 walk-ins, 338 Fort Ball room usage. The school days, we had 217, 200 for the Heritage Festival, and for the marker dedication that we did at the museum, for a total of 2,459. This is just some of our volunteers. On the left there, we have Paula Crum. In the middle, Brian Courtney. Down in the center bottom is one of our interns from Heidelberg, Michael Ware. And he is working on putting out the t-shirts that we did for the poster contest. And on the right is Allison Bly, and she's also an intern from Heidelberg. This is the second time that she's been at the museum. So we have those two and hopefully some more. So if anybody in the room back here sitting would like to be volunteers, we'd gladly take you and put you to work. So this is Paul Pospisil up at the top there doing inventory. And from January through December, we added roughly 1,002 more items. If anybody's going to ask me what percentage we're at, I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's an ongoing process. March, we went to a press conference that was held at Terra State, and we were to receive a $25,000 grant for the upkeep and helping with the museum carriage house. As of yet, we've still not received the grant, but we are working now with Charlene from the regional planning, and we hope to get that accomplished and everything finished and soon get the money to help with the carriage house. April 26th, we had a roast held for Lenny Klaus as a fundraiser for the carriage house, and we had a lot of historical and unique items that were donated off. We had some models that Mr. Robinaut had made for us and everything, so that helped raise some money. I think we ended up clearing a little over 5,000, I think it was, towards the carriage house. May 10th was the Tiffin third grade tour. If anybody doesn't know what that is, all of Tiffin City School third graders, they come to the museum, but they also go to 11 different places around the town. So we only get them for like 15 minutes. So it's kind of just an introduction into the museum and inviting them to come back and everything. But we had a total of 215 students and teachers and chaperones. And then May 17th, we spoke at the ribbon cutting and the time capsule dedication at the New Justice Center. June 26th, spoke and assisted with the dedication of the Ohio marker that's down at the Klaus Kirian Park, and that was of the founding of Tiffin.
We asked about how many of those markers were out there. The other one that I saw that I was surprised is Mercy Hospital. So I don't know how many of those markers we have, the official markers. Somebody mentioned 2.
There's 12 in the county.
12.
Pardon me?
There's 12 in Seneca County.
There are 12 in Seneca County?
Yeah.
And we are working with the Pomeroy Grant Foundation about some other markers and everything and stuff. So with the birthday of Tiffin coming up and we're hoping to have more by that time.
Good.
So September 13th, we had the marker dedication at the museum for the Shawns, and it was very well attended. Had the Speaker of the House, so we had a lot of different people there come to it, so that was a lot of fun, and you can see the picture on the right there. Also, social media, we have our website, and then of course our Facebook page, and we're up to over 7,600 likes on there. And a lot of the posts have reached over 20,000 views, but mostly they're anywhere from 8 to 12,000. So if you're not on Facebook, please get on there and like us. Get on Google. There's a page on there where you can get on and see also the Facebook page. We have a historical post every day with the different pictures and all that and everything. So a lot of people will send in, why don't you have more stuff on the county? Well, if people have got it, send it to us. We'll put it on because it's mostly just things that we're using from the museum. So the Heritage Festival poster boards, those, hopefully you've seen them around at the Heritage Festival or downtown on the courthouse lawn during the festival and everything. There, or Justice Center, I'm sorry. But we try to do 2 of these a year. I think we're up to either 14 or 16 now.
19.
Or 19, oh sorry. I should read the board, huh? But we don't only just use them for the Heritage Festival. They come in really handy because when like school kids come to the museum or groups come in, we try to set them up in the back room and give them history lessons. Also, some of the teachers will come and borrow them to do class projects and everything. So they've been very beneficial to the museum. So the Tiffin Heritage Festival, we were open extra hours. We had Dulcimer Band playing. we had the Mad Dog Killers display, which now has been dismantled, and we are putting together a new exhibit on Flex Easter egg dyes and remedies and everything. The gentleman here, he's the one that wrote the book on the Mansfield killings, and that's Mr. Scott Fields, and he's from Mansfield. The Miller family who had originally brought in the stuff on from the family and everything for this exhibit, her husband just recently passed away, so that's the reason we went ahead and took the exhibit down. So, but when we had the book signing, we had 60-some people there, and he sold out of all of his books. So, I think you have one. Have you read it yet?
Yep, very good.
So you can get them downtown at the Paper and Ink and online.
We test.
The Christmas open house, our dates were December 1st, 2nd, 8th, 9th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. And we had the whole museum decorated. Our theme was angels because we had lost a few of our members at the museum and everything. So this year our theme is more towards the kids. It's all Christmas memories. So there'll be a lot of like bubble lights and the old-fashioned decorations and that kind of stuff.
How many trees
So,
did you decorate?
how many trees did we end up having? I think it was 16 altogether.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's always fun because the volunteers and everything, they'll come in and at the beginning of the year or the end of that previous year, I give them the theme of what the next year is, and they have to come up with all their designs and everything. So a lot of times I don't even know what they're doing until the trees go up. So it's interesting to see what it is. But we had a total of 834 visitors during the open houses, which was an increase of 20% over the year before. And the poster contest, that was the first year that we did the poster contest. A lot of us were concerned that we might not get a whole lot of entries, and we ended up with I think it was like 125 altogether. So it was interesting going through those, and we handed out some nice money that was donated by a gentleman. So, and here's the poster contest winners when the commissioners acknowledged them, and here they were here. And I'm wearing one of the shirts. This is the shirt that we designed for the kids, and we're trying to come up with an ideal for this year. So if anybody in the room has an ideal of what the kids could do, or Jimmy or Hank, pop me an email. I'm interested. So right now we're working with Joe Brandt and the Bascom Fire Department and the county to raise money to bring back the General. It was a fire truck from 1927. It was Bascom's first motorized fire truck. And the donations can be made at the Sutton Bank or through the GoFundMe page. The owner is asking $40,000 for the truck, and then also it would also have to be transported back from California. But if anybody thinks that's a lot of money for one of the fire trucks, if you watch the Barrett-Jackson auction or any of those, you'll see that one just recently went on there around the same age, basically about the same style and everything, for $90,000. So. This is what we're working on right now. This is the basement collection of the museum articles and everything that are down there. And these are some nice pictures because it's not really that great down there. But we've been bringing all these clothes up from the basement. You can see how some of them are just hanging on the hangers there. They're really bad shape, but we're trying to bring them upstairs and get them into archival boxes. We've tried to clean them as much as possible. They are then wrapped in tissue paper or put into archival sleeves, and then we're putting them into these boxes, which you can see we've moved upstairs into a closet where it's more temperature controlled. So I think we did over 120 pieces so far of clothing, and a lot of these clothes date back to like Josiah Hedges' family and Rasmusbo, thank you.
the other thing, which I hadn't told anything about any of you about, and I've got the check with me. I left it at the museum yesterday. But Mr. Robert Teach here, he left money to some of the organizations in Narragansett, and on January 31st, I received word that we had received a check for $10,186 towards the Carriage House windows. So I will be bringing you that check.
Perfect.
Yeah. And hopefully every year we'll be receiving more money. You know, we have to apply for it in December, and then in February 1st we find out how much we get and everything and stuff. So. And then tonight at 6:30, I will be at the library with Mark Steinmetz and Allison Bly, the one I told you about that was the intern, and we'll be giving a history kind of overview of the war effort in Seneca County. They're doing the book on the Atomic Girls is the community read for this year. So we try to tie in stuff from the museum with what books they have going on and everything. So it's really interesting. We've been putting a lot of effort into it, but there's so much of it. You can only pick so much to go into it, you know, and you got to say, okay, you can't put all that in there. So if any of you can attend tonight, we'd love to have you there, and it should be a good turnout. So.
This is part of a series, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be like 4 or 5 other books that they're going to review by books.
The different speakers will come in and talk about them and everything and stuff. And
Is it all related to World War II?
Yeah. And that's the end of my report.
Very good. You've been very busy.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments or anything? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you to all your volunteers. for preserving our
Well, when she
history.
gives a report to the board, we don't usually clap, so.
Thank you.
Nice courtesy, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we can do that. Yep. There's no more out here. Thank you guys.
All right, we have a 10:30 bid opening, so the cutoff is at 10:30. It's 10:32, so for those of you who don't know, the School of Opportunity is doing some construction, and being a public entity, they have to have submitted bids, and the bids will be open here in a public forum so that we know who was here and what bids were received by the appropriate timeline.
All right, looks like I have 3. And the engineer's estimate. To the engineer's estimate on it,
Yeah, the base estimate was 1,500,000.
195,000?
1,500,000.
Oh, 1,500,000.
And there's 2 alternates.
$1,500,000.
$1,500,000. Okay. So I've got, first one is Weithman Brothers out of Gallion, Ohio. Their total bid, base bid is $1,756,550. 1,756,550.00. The next one is Klaus Construction out of New Regal, Ohio. The base bid amount, $1,469,202. 102, excuse me. 1,469,202. 469-102.00. They've got an alternate. Exterior maintenance, $37,309 for G1. Do you want to explain these?
Yes, G1 is a maintenance and repair of exposed structural elements and soffits around the building.
Okay.
And the second alternate is the removal of an existing skylight. It's no longer in use.
Okay, so the first one was the $37,309.99, 37309.99. The item, they're calling it G2, the skylight lights, $26,942, 26942.00. And the third bid is Helms Construction out of Findlay, Ohio. The base bid amount is $1,601,1601000.00. They have the alternate G1, $43,150, 43150.00. And the G2, the existing lighting removal, is $83,500, 83500.00. And that's all I got.
So we will submit these to the architect for review, and as we understand, the Opportunity Center has the money in place, and has saved the money to do that. It's not general fund money, but bids will be awarded to the lowest and best, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The Old Fort leadership team got to be a part of the official record and sign in at a bid opening, so.
Thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. Tasha, talk about wellness?
Tasha Ginger.
Tasha and Ginger. Tasha and Ginger show. Talk about wellness.
Good morning.
Good.
I'm
Are you gonna make us do calisthenics or
Yes.
something?
Push-ups. We are here to request our additional benchmarks for our wellness program to follow to this year. Our benchmark for wellness is 600 points through SEPCO. Last year we did an additional 800 points and 1,200 points. The purpose of that is to keep individuals active all year long. And we had 65 employees who did extra beyond the 600 points. 32 individuals reached the 800 points and 20 individuals reached the 1,200. 13 didn't quite meet, but they still went above and beyond. So we're requesting that this program continue for the additional benchmarks.
And what were the dollar amounts associated with those?
Roughly 7% additional for the 800 points and 8% for the 1,200. And it's for each
8%
tier.
reduction
Yeah.
to the employee.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
For
I
each
do know that
category.
the gym exists, because I was,
does.
yeah, I got a fob, yes.
Overall cost for the entire year that we've noticed with the increased points was up about 12,000 from the
Okay.
prior year
Okay.
with additional incentives.
Do we need a motion to approve?
Yeah, we did it by resolution last
You got
year.
it? You have a resolution?
I have the old one, yep.
Okay.
If you guys want to, what was the
Do you want to make a
title?
part of the resolutions at the end here on new business, or you want to do it separately? What's your
Okay.
pleasure, Mr. Chairman?
I would love to see us continue this program, and I would entertain a motion, and we can
I will so move.
second. and we'll just roll call that out.
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work on
Sheet.
this.
Yes, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, send it to me electronically.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
So you'll make us look intelligent in the resolution?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So we run a countywide wellness program, and points are awarded for activities such as getting physicals or participating in athletic events, and then you receive a reduction in your life insurance or your health insurance premium. And so the idea is that healthier lifestyles will have less impact on our health insurance premiums, and in the long term, it should benefit the county and the entire health insurance pool. So they take this on as part of their additional responsibilities, and we appreciate that we have county employees that go above and beyond and help us all live a healthier lifestyle. So, all right, good deal. Commissioner reports. Yeah.
Well, I guess, you know, today's theme, here we are at the end of February, it seems to be Christmas. We had the museum talking about Christmas, but
It's almost Lent, Mike.
I know. As odd as it may seem, we've got a committee put together to do some lighting for the Justice Center for next year in downtown Tiffin. We're trying to coordinate everything. Most of it will be through private donations, but we need to get a kind of a rendering of what things might look like and what the cost might be. I got a little bit of sticker shock when we first started talking about this. This is probably a couple $100,000 venture. What I would ask this board for is, in order to get the presentation took together for presentation to foundations, kind of a rendering and a PowerPoint presentation of kind of the bare minimum, kind of a medium display, and a full-blown display. We need to pay them somewhere in the $3,000 or $4,000 range. So if I would ask that we could advance like $3,500, that will be repaid through a committee that will go to the private sector and ask for donations. But in order to get the presentation out to them, we need to fund it to make those presentations. So I don't know where that money would come from exactly. It would just be an advance.
And just be a appropriation, a supplemental appropriation.
Okay. If that's agreeable, I'd like to get that started so we can, even though it is only February, it is something we gotta get going on.
Who's the vendor?
At this point, Pinnacle, we will get more than one bid, but Pinnacle are the folks that they were associated with doing the lights already.
Okay.
And one of the gentlemen is actually from this area.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I just know who it was. Yeah, and so is that going to be folded in with the landscape committee and the design committee, or?
Yeah, the sign and the landscaping, we're gonna try to coordinate it all into one group and make sure that Tiffin's represented, the judges are represented, maintenance is represented, all stakeholders have an opportunity. And again, I'm glad you brought that point up, because even though it is February, we do need to get on the short list to get the landscaping done as soon as spring hits and time allows them to get in there. So we're asking, John Logston is putting together with one of the companies a design right now to get bid on. We want to get on, as I say, somebody's list quickly so it can look nice for the spring.
Okay. I know Commissioner Stacy was on the sign committee. I was on the landscape committee. So if you want to pull all those committees into one committee, and I would make sure you have that.
Obviously, any of the commissioners are welcome at any of the meetings. We're just trying to move forward with all that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be competition for funding. Not on the design thing. I'm okay with that, but just the sign, the landscaping. We've got some building issues that we are going to be pressing.
As we had mentioned earlier, and as John had talked about yesterday in our meeting, we'd also like to look seriously at Court Street, making certain that blends with what's going on and getting that back to where it ought to be, kind of a walkway.
Yeah. Okay. I would make a motion to, I guess I'll just bring it up in new business.
I'll need to, I gotta figure out exactly how much, and maybe have a contract for that.
I guess I don't need a motion. I mean, that would be great if we had a motion, but let me find out what the number is.
Okay.
And come back and let you know, and then you can decide where it needs to come from.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's really all that I have.
Okay. I don't have anything else specifically. So, old business. Is Charlene here?
Yes, she is.
Do you want to talk about this?
Sure.
Excellent. Active transportation plan.
If you give me the clipboard, I'll take that upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Here goes things. So I gave each of the commissioners a hard copy of the approved active transportation plan. The active transportation plan was a year-long event that involved representatives from Seneca County, City of Tiffin, City of Fostoria, private residents, councilmen, commissioners, me, a whole bunch of people who are avid, active people, and you wouldn't know that because I've got my lovely winter body going, so that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I'm happy the dad bod's in style now.
Sporting that winter look. So the Active Transportation Committee was a lot of fun. These are people who are avid runners, walkers, hikers, swimmers, cyclists, and we came together. We got funding from the Ohio Department of Transportation to do a plan, and we decided that instead of us receiving a check, we'd rather let them pick out our consultant that was going to put the plan together for us and work with us, and that way it would be exactly the way ODOT wants it to be. If anybody knows by now, and you should know by now, I'd like to do it the way it's supposed to be versus the way we think it should be. So we did it the way ODOT wanted. We had some field trips that we went on as a committees, which were rainy days, but great days. Got to see some parts of the county that some of the members hadn't seen. Got to go out on some pretty crazy bridges that I wouldn't recommend right at the moment. And we got to see some areas that really looked great for trails and riding and walking and hiking. So we did that. We had some public community input multiple times. There were our consultant was at the farmers market, I think the flea market. We did internal, external. We did all kinds of surveys, so we've got some great feedback. So then everything came together. We met many times. We put together priorities, and we hammered out a final plan with the consultant. The Active Transportation Committee is a ad hoc committee of the Transportation Committee in Seneca County. So the ad hoc committee approved it. We took it to the Transportation Committee. They approved it, and the Transportation Improvement District has said we're okay with it. There's no approval. There's no. They recognize it and they say, okay, glad you did it. So that's where we're at. So our next steps are we come to the commissioners for their approval to form. Then we go to the City of Tiffin and the City of Fostoria for approval to form. We'll meet as a committee to talk about implementation, and then it will be released to the public. So regional planning will not be implementing the plan. We will be umbrellaing the plan. We're not implementers. We're the idea box, and that's always exciting to say that we get the ideas and then everybody else gets to implement them and we get to oversee them. So at this point, I've come to the commissioners to get your approval of the plan to form. So we've given you a copy, and I just kind of want to give you some insight as to what the plan has in it. Has the vision, and the vision of the Seneca County Active Transportation Plan is to improve the quality of life and promote safety, recreation, environmental sustainability, health, equity, inclusion, and economic development. This will be achieved by developing high-quality integrated surface transportation infrastructure that increases active transportation options for people of all ages and abilities, so it's inclusive. And one number that you may not realize is really important is the economic development portion of it. David can attest to this, he's been in the committee as well, but we've heard from our consultant that if you have a cyclist who is biking through your community, and you think this is kind of weird, but people do take vacation for a week to go on a cycling trip throughout a state through communities. They spend on average $100 in cash per day in local communities. So if you think about that influx that we could obtain in Seneca County, that's going to be really nice just to help with that economic development. Could also create some new stores and some new shops that could come into play with this as well. So I always want to kind of highlight that. You'll see if you ever look at our plan or you go online to look at it when it comes public, a lot of pictures of all of us great people working together on stuff. The other thing I want to highlight is there's a crash analysis. It's from 2014 to 2018 regarding pedestrians and bicycle crashes in Seneca County. We had property damage only, but no injury of 13, possible injuries of 15, non-incapacitating injuries of 29, 9 incapacitating injuries, and 2 fatalities that were bicycle and pedestrian related from 2014 to 2018. So having an active transportation plan helps us implement those safe routes for people to be able to do things on, and it will help raise awareness and education as well. And as a cyclist, I can tell you that that's really important to me, just to be able to be safe. So then we also go into actual routes, and if the commissioners would please, on pages 22 and further, are actual maps of the routes that are proposed. Nothing is guaranteed, so when somebody pulls up these maps and looks at them, we don't want you to sit there and go, oh my gosh, that route looks like it's going through my neighbor's property. There's no guarantee that that's exactly where it's going to go. This is what we proposed with our consultants, and it'll be the committee's implementation portion to go out and actually implement this and start talking to landowners and looking at the communities and talking about how we can integrate these trails together. It will not be, you know, oh, just because it's on the map, it's going to happen. It's proposed, okay? So we have quite an extensive trail system that's been proposed. There's multiple means of trails. There's shared bike trails that are basically, a shared bike trail is where you see a bicycle and maybe an arrow that's painted onto the road. That's called a shared transportation route. Then you're going to see marked trails. Marked trails could be where you see that green sign with the bicycle on it. It says bike trail. You're going to see that along the sides of the roads. And then you're going to have designated trails. And those are things like the North Coast Inland Trail. And if you're not familiar with the North Coast Inland Trail, I can tell you all about it. But it's a designated trail that is for pedestrian and active transportation use. You can't put a motor vehicle on it. So it's even safer that way. So we have multi-means, and you'll see different routes, and those routes and maps go through page 31. Yes. And then we were very lucky, a young gentleman who is an avid photographer and a drone user who goes to Heidelberg University, Mason Haney, stepped up and said he'd take some shots for us so we could do some renderings. And one of our priorities is to create an active transportation trail that will link downtown Tiffin out to the South Complex, or where the DJFS, School of Opportunity, and the jail is for the county. What's really nice about that is St. Francis already has their own route out there that goes under 224, and that's called Port Road. We just need to link that up. And another great thing that's happened is the commissioners have agreed to pave the road that goes out to the county cemetery with using recycling funds. And by paving that, that's only going to create a small portion that we have to link together. So that's one of our main priorities. When you look in the plan, you'll see a rendering that actually shows what it could look like. I'm more than glad to show it to you. I did not do a PowerPoint. It just wasn't in the means for this week. So you can actually get an idea of how that would look and how it cuts across. There's also just some ideas of what a shared route looks like in there as well. So then they talk about the program recommendations. There's in education, which is a required thing. With any active transportation plan, you want to educate your community. So that's getting out and talking about how to be a safe cyclist, how to be a safe runner, how to be a safe walker, getting you vests and lights and things that are important. Encouraging. There could be something that the county would do to encourage, or there could be something that maybe the police department does to encourage it, or something that your employer does to encourage this. And evaluation, of course, and enforcement. We look at all kinds of different other programs that are in the area as well. So then we have multiple types of goals. We have short term, which are 1 to 2 years, medium term, which are 3 to 5 years, and then long term, 5 years to who knows when. When you look at what the committee came up with and what our consultant came up with, you can tell there's passion involved in this plan, and you can tell that there's a lot of thought that's been put into this plan. These committee members knew what they were talking about when they walked in the room. They'd already done their homework, and it was great. So we have probably 30 years worth of work ahead of us for this plan, to be honest. It's not a, we're gonna do this overnight plan. It'll get updated as we go, but it's a definitely really set in stone type of thing that we're really proud of, and I'm really proud of all the committee members for their hard work. We do have 3 top priorities that we're gonna be addressing as we start the plan. First one is going to be that connector route that gets through St. Francis out to the county farm. Another one is going to be connecting to the North Coast Inland Trail. That's a requirement of the plan. That's why we got funding, is we have to connect our county to the North Coast Inland Trail. And the third one, Shane, was it connecting down to Wyandotte? So we have the connector across? I think it was. It's been a little bit, so we're kind of remembering those things. And we really think that this plan came out very well. I'm pleased with the consultant that helped us. I'm pleased with the assistance of everybody that was on the committee. And I'm just asking the commissioners to approve it to a form. We're not asking you to fund it today. We're just asking you to approve it to form. I don't want any money. And as long as you approve it to form, then we can move on to the next. I'm meeting with the City of Tiffin council members next week to get their approval to form, and then Fostoria. So, do you have any questions, concerns, thoughts? Shane, anything to put in?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your hard work. This really started when Commissioner Zoller was here, and he was chair of the Transportation Committee. And at that time, we had a health assessment report that said that one of the top concerns people had in Seneca County was access to recreational areas, recreational trails. And so we started looking at that, and at that time, ODOT was launching a map of Ohio and all the active transportation routes in Ohio. And Seneca County was one of the few counties that wasn't designated on this map at all. It was a giant black hole. So while Commissioner Zoller was still chair of that committee, he formed the ad hoc committee, and some of us ran with that ad hoc committee, and we were able to secure a grant through Charlene's hard work to fund the plan with a high economic value and no cost to the county. And what this plan does is it gives us a platform to stand on that we can go out after additional funding that ODOT makes available for active transportation networks. Sandusky County is, quite frankly, 30 years ahead of us on this. So they did their first active transportation plan in 1990, and they've had success getting implemented, but it takes time.
Okay, I would move for approval and acceptance of the active transportation plan.
Second. Roll call.
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Travis?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Our committee thanks you. Expect to hear more.
All right, we're on to new business. Any other old business? New business.
I have roofs. I guess that's part of old business, new business, but John, in the last couple of weeks, said that our roof out to Job and Family Services, it's the section over the old part, the front part, where like the engineer is. We've patched it once last year because our poor engineer had a bucket of catching water in his office, and he wasn't worried about it. So we did patch it enough to get it fixed. Now they found another leak. Water always finds the path of least resistance. So we have another section that's leaking. Like I said, that's the old section of the building. We had reached out to a contractor back in 2015, so which fall would have to be updated to go with a shingle roof, which would be replacing what it has. With prevailing wage, they were estimating about $140,000. Changing to go to a standing seam roof, the same roof that's on the newer part of the Job and Family Services building, with prevailing wage estimates about $350,000. So patching it would obviously be under, John said under 10,000. I think his last patch was 4 or 5. So I guess kinda wanna, this was on our list of capital improvements, but we didn't know for sure when it was gonna be needed. But once you did the one patch, it's leaded to another. So, your thoughts, like we can put it out for bid and see what the estimates come back. We could patch it and just see how long it goes from there.
I'd say send it out for bid, see what happens, and we can make a decision then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's,
Are you thinking?
Has there been any thought, any of these being metal?
Metal, that's what the,
Standing seam?
yeah, that's the one that could be up to $350, and maybe if we're lucky, prices have come down.
I doubt.
Doubt it, but.
that's a gift to future commissioners.
Yeah.
So that would be my other question, whether, you know, and I think that was John's recommendation, because when we built the new section, they obviously invested in the standing seam, so if that's the direction you'd like to put them, I can do it that way. I mean, obviously, there's a big difference, but.
Yeah. Only leaks when it rains?
Yeah.
No, we don't need to fix it.
Might, you know, when it snows and melts, I'm trying to think of any other reason that would.
Yeah, I mean, our tendency has been to fix them and fix them right.
Yeah.
Quit patching them. That's been our mode of operation with this board. You know, I don't think we're probably gonna deviate from that, but
Yeah.
when you start getting up to, you know, $300,000, it's a big pill to swallow in a single year.
Yeah.
From a capital improvement standpoint, that's unbudgeted.
And we weren't lucky enough that the wind, you know, all
There's
these
still
lovely,
time.
lovely people homes that got destroyed by trees and stuff, our roof stayed nice and intact, so.
Bonnie the County.
We got an email from Michelle, who did this last year, and she just wanted to know if we would be okay with putting our name as a sponsor under the other list of sponsors. She just didn't want to add our name to this. It's the same thing they did last year with the non-perishable food items, toilet paper, soaps, detergents, all that stuff from March 1st through March 29th. And there is a list of the places you can drop all the items off at.
Didn't you coordinate hosting one of these?
Yeah, but, you know, last year we had a semi in the parking lot actually collecting the items, so it's good that we're continuing, and you know, we as a board came up with the idea, and they're carrying it on, so good for them, but really didn't know much about it in advance this year.
She just wanted to make sure it was okay to put our name
Yeah.
in the sponsors before she did it, so.
Anytime we're collecting items for those that need it, I think it's a good idea, right? Sure they can.
All right. Any other new business? Go to.
Okay, I have a couple on here. I have a supplemental appropriation request from the Soil Conservation District. They are asking for an additional $5,000 in their other expense, reimbursement of fees, and I have a supplemental appropriation for $89,500. This is for the contract for Gossman Group that you guys preliminary approved the contract pending the prosecutor's approval. We've gotten the prosecutor's approval on that. And this 89.5 was the top amount that was in that contract. So before we actually signed the contract, I wanted to make sure that we were all on board and moving forward, and we all knew what the amount was gonna be. So that supplemental appropriation is for that contract. The master buildings plan, I guess we called it. I have a supplemental appropriation. It's in our airport contract services for the appraisal and their appraisal view. We we approved the contracts. We just didn't have the money in place, so the supplemental appropriation for those, 4,500, we didn't feel like it should come out of their, general contract services that we already had in place, because that's for specific purposes. What was the other one?
Did you mention TSEP?
That's, I have a supplemental appropriation for 22,000. That is the remaining balance for the contract that we approved for TSEP. So that would be a total of, what did we do? We did the 17,000 at the beginning of the year, and then we did 50,000, and now the 22.
89.
And that was the total, 89,000 for the contract. See, that's all the supplementals I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the capital projects fund. This is to move the cash on the projects that we've already got started. We had the appropriations, we just didn't move the cash over, again for the 350,000. And I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Road 38 -0.28 bridge rehabilitation, LPA 1900. And that opening will be at our office April 4th, Thursday, April 4th at 10:30 a.m.
Is that the big bridge over the river?
County Road
I imagine
38.
that .28 designates the length of that. That's the only long one I know. I don't know of any other bridge, well, there's other bridges on County Road.
Yeah.
That's the big one. Okay.
So that's
What is the time and date?
April 4th, Thursday, April 4th, 2019, here at the Commissioner's office, 10:30 a.m. would be the bid opening. And I think that's all I have.
I will move for approval of the budget adjustments and the fund transfers.
Second.
Setting the time for the bid.
Roll call.
Commissioner Stacy, Commissioner Kirchner, Commissioner Thomas.
Yes. Do you want to address the landfill and talk about the public meeting tonight? And
Sure. Maybe the best thing to do is to let the folks that are here kind of give their thoughts, and then we can kind of respond to that. So.
Okay.
We have got.
Thank you. Thank you.
TV time. Did we keep you away from school long enough to have lunch?
Okay, we good?
Thank you for coming, and thank you for your work, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Come back and see us with stuffed animals.
Let me first of all say I'm amazed at the few meetings that I've been to with these folks on the landfill issue, how quickly they become educated about what's going on out there. It's quite amazing, and I know that you have a few things, you've given us something, but maybe to save a little time, what I'm going to recommend, and I think that Commissioner Thomas is in agreement with me, that we're going to encourage the Department of Health to deny the application. We're basically going to say that we agree with them if they make that decision. Although we have no jurisdictional authority over them, we recognize that it is a major concern amongst people in Sunday County, and especially those that are near the landfill. And we recognize that you guys have worked very hard. We also recognize that there's been a number of violations, and that we believe that they ought to be rectified. We're not recommending that it be closed. We are recommending that they're denied a permit until they fix it to the satisfaction of the citizens. So that's where we're going to come. That's where I think we're going to come from.
We're with you. We're with you. You know, and this is verify, then we'll trust. You know, it's not the old Ronald Reagan saying anymore, because we had to trust and verify, and we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
We need to verify, and they can earn our trust. So
We
we're with you.
We recognize the
Thank you.
fact that they didn't give them 14 days on a number of things, and the only consequence has been, okay, show us what you're gonna do now. There's really no consequence. We think it's time for some type of a consequence to them, and that is deny the application.
Thank you.
My auto kind of.
Sure. That'll be fine.
Could you just state your name?
Yeah,
and
want me to stand up?
Yeah.
It's better because it gets captured.
I got no problem with that.
So if you can state your name, try and keep your comments to, a few minutes. That's
If I respond to that, it might be a little bit more. My name is Nate Heiser, live in Fostoria. When you spoke about the denial, and I agree with that and I appreciate that, the problem we're gonna run into is that there's no give and take with the EPA or working with the EPA in any regard. This is, they're forcing us into a position where we either have to accept the fact that they may in fact shut down, and that's not what I want. I do not want to see a shutdown. I want to see the out-of-state waste controlled to a degree. They've proven that they can't handle the amount of waste coming in there, but in order to combat that, the EPA won't budge on their tonnage. There's the permit's already been passed, and there's no way to go back. And moving forward with the denial, it's either all or nothing at this point, which is unfair. It's unfair to us, unfair to the people that work there. It's extremely unfair. They're putting us in a position where, you force this denial, okay, then it goes to a local appeals with the health department, the Board of Health, and their attorney against Sunny Farms. And in doing so, once that denial is stated, then it goes to a ERAC committee, which they essentially will either approve what the health department has said in their findings, or they'll shoot it back to the health department and say, well, you have to approve this thing. So it's either we go through and it's either shut down, or it's approved and it continues on how it's been continuing over the last 10 years, which is really unfair. So brings me to my next point, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about. And I know you're limited on authority and what can be done, but when you go to the solid waste district, there is some, the solid waste plan, there is that policy committee, and I'm not sure who's all on that policy committee. I know there is a representative on that committee at the solid waste district. But we've had a lot of public resolutions, Jackson Township, Fostoria City, Loudon Township, Arcadia, Big Springs Township, all voted unanimously to issue the denial, which is great. And I feel like, you're reflecting kind of what the community wants, so that's great. But the real work's going to be in that solid waste plan and that host agreement issued by the solid waste district. That's when we really have to bring our concerns here to them and bring that to the table, because they do have the Sandusky County, the Ottawa County in there, but their thoughts may not be as concerning as ours because we're so local.
Right.
They're over there and they have some input and authority as well into those agreements. But those agreements, it's got to be where we start, and it's an 18-month process, according to Tim Wasserman over there, to get those solid waste plan amended and that host agreement, which is up in 21. So that's where we, I think, can control the amount of waste coming in, according to...
Let me insert something. You guys have got their attention. Okay, so now that will be the discussion at the solid waste district from this point forward. I'm certain that whatever they can do to regulate it properly, they will, and whatever they can do within their power, because they don't want to lose the landfill either. As you know, that's a source of recycling money for the county, for the 3 counties actually. So that's really is their main source of income. So they want to do what they can do to keep it open, but also have them be in compliance.
Sure. And they cannot operate without the landfill. Their budget will not allow that.
Exactly, yeah.
So
they may not be able to operate with the landfill. I mean, I don't know that it's sustainable, quite frankly.
And they're already starting to cut programs, recycling programs for the
I mean,
township.
there's going to be a lot of carnage as it relates to the solid waste district as through this process. It comes from classification, it comes from just what's happening generally in the recycle market. The economics of it have changed dramatically. And so, you know, I don't think that it's going to look the same in 12 months that it looks now.
And I think so. And, you know, judging, you know, by what Tim had said, if they were to lose the landfill, then they would essentially have to put like a $5 or $6 tax in everybody's property, which.
Good luck with this board.
Let me just say in advance, no.
Second that, roll call.
And in my opinion, if we don't have to deal with that landfill and the odors and the problems and the unhealthy, irresponsible activities out there, I would be happy to pay $5 annually.
Yeah, I would too.
But
To make
it's not
that
a
happen.
requirement. It would yeah, I mean, we can get into, that's a whole
Sure.
different segue. But what I will say, and no reflection on Tim or his staff, they do a great job. I like the mission, you know, recycle, reduce. They've done a good job educating, doing the recycle bins across 3 counties. They've done a really nice job.
Agreed.
So anything I ever say, I want to preface it with saying, it's not a reflection on the job they've done with the money they've given. They've been very prudent with it. The fact is that system is not sustainable for macro reasons that have nothing to do with Seneca County. So we are going to be looking at how solid waste district is going to look in the future. And I'm guessing it's not going to look the same. But to your point, yeah, we're with you on the host agreement. We want to look hard at that, and we want to make sure we have the right people, knowledgeable people on that policy committee moving
I agree.
forward.
And
I look forward to that.
And I just want to make sure that the community's actions reflect in those agreements and the way they feel. You know, especially all the people, the townships and cities that have come forth and said, "We're with you. We don't like this. We don't want it."
Nate, I think our sense is the same as the group of folks, and that is that there needs to be some a strong message sent, a very strong message, but that in the long run, we would like to maintain that as a landfill, but you need to get in compliance, and you need to, you know, even though they're allowed to do something, doesn't mean that they have to. Even though they're allowed to bring in so much tonnage, doesn't mean that they can't negotiate bringing in less. So, you know, the idea that it's all or nothing, I think there's still some ability in there to say, do you want to stay open? This is what you have to do.
Now, I don't know at what point that could be negotiated. Now, if that could be negotiated, I would be in favor of some kind of a negotiation in that regard. But I don't see how that's going to fit, and they have to voluntarily apply for less tonnage.
Well, you have to give them enough incentive to do that, I guess is the point.
Now, that would be an option. We've spoken to other landfill owner-operators that say there's no way that these guys can bring in that amount of waste and can control it and keep the odors down effectively.
Well, by your own calculations and by their own calculations, at 4,500 tons, I think it was, they said it was a 20-year operation, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever the number was, and now all of a sudden it's 7,500.
Yep.
It can't sustain itself more than 10 years, and we're approaching that
Yep.
without opening additional areas, and you know that's not going to be approved.
And that's the angle that you have to take with the solid waste, because they're gonna say, well, they can operate because they have enough space. Well, not when they're up in the tonnage and bring that in. It's gonna draw that time frame down a little bit, and it's not gonna leave room for local
Yeah.
waste. And that's the
That's
angle.
assuming that they're telling us the right tonnages that are going.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And, you know, and even on top of that, the issues in the past month are heavy violations. I mean, this isn't your normal, you know, everyday violations. These are heavy violations, and you have to have just cause to issue that intent for denial. And man, it's out there left and right. So,
Well, of all the stuff that I've heard and all the times I've listened to you folks, I think the biggest impact, I was telling Commissioner Turner this morning, was a full-page ad they had in on Sunday or whatever the day that was. I mean, this is a fantasy world.
full of empty promises.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's as convincing as you know, the arguments against is the you know, as the suggestions for.
And, you know, half of those things that they mentioned in that article about the things that they're doing, EPA mandated them to do that because they were in violation for so long. So it's not just a, hey, we're gonna do the right thing. It's a, oh, we're mandated, so we're gonna spin this like we're doing the right thing. So,
Thank you for your efforts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, City of Fostoria, they've been engaged. I appreciate Mayor Keckler has called me a number of times over the last 2 years, you know, having conversations about this. The Loudon Township trustees are engaged, so I think we've got good leadership engaged on this.
Thank you,
And you know, again, with the health department board, those folks are volunteers, and I appreciate that they volunteer. And you know, nobody signs up to get into this kind of controversy. So you know, I give them all the respect that they serve, and we appoint people to a lot of different boards, and they, you know, I'm glad they do it. So
I just want to make sure that, and I've reached out to them, has met with Laura and Beth on several occasions, Mr. Reineke. I mean, I've met with tons of people, and I just want their decision to be informed.
Sure.
You know, so I
appreciate that.
kind of want to, you know, tell them how things actually are versus how they're spun in the papers and such. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. And I appreciate your resolution on in favor of a denial, and maybe that's something that maybe we could put on Facebook today before the meeting tonight, you know, if that's an option.
Yeah, we'll
be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We have the full motion. I'll read 2 lines of it. The rest of it will be online for people to view. But I think that the 2 most important things to say are noting that the Ohio Administrative Code 3745-30-14B3 states that the owner or operator of a landfill shall operate the facility in such a manner that noise, dust, and odors are strictly controlled so as not to cause a nuisance or health hazard. And therefore, we support the Health Department's decision to deny the landfill's operating license if the board chooses to do so. The rest of it is Phil and Jimmy prepared it, but I will make that motion.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
okay, I've got a motion on the floor, and I'll second it. And call for a roll. Discussion? Any further discussion? I mean,
Would you? Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
My name is Greg O'Million. I live in Alveda. I live 1.5 miles to 2 miles from the landfill. I went and got to my bank that I've been with for 23 years since I built the house for an equity loan. And they come out and did an appraisal. Bottom line is they're not going to give me my equity loan. They said 42% is now affected by the landfill. They only valued my house at 56% of what I built it at. And I'm paying taxes on a house that I don't own anymore.
This doggone
It's in the,
I can't
it's in the
make my deal,
landfill.
banker. We both were.
Well, bottom line is I ain't gonna be able to sell my house or get any money out of it.
Yeah,
when I
that's
do sell it.
sad. That's really tough. And, you know, our job, part of our job is not only to protect you from health and other concerns, but also, you know, this is your largest asset, right? I mean, and here we are in a situation where maybe we could do something to help you with that, and hopefully we can.
Such as where can I get help? And
Well, I mean, if
what kind of help
it's under
can you offer
control,
me?
you know, if the landfill becomes under control and they resolve these problems, hopefully that part of the appraisal will go away. I mean, I can't guarantee you, but it certainly would mitigate it.
How can I get my taxes reevaluated with all
Board of
this?
Revisions.
I'm paying a lot of taxes for nothing.
we just happen to have the expert on that process in the back of the room. Julie Adkins is back there. You can have a conversation with her.
She'll probably just go ahead and give it to you.
Yeah.
Shane, you're on that board as well.
And that's not going away.
No, and not to make light of it, but seriously, if you have a concern about that, there is a process to reduce your taxes, and it's the Board of Revisions. And
Not
Julie,
reduce your taxes, but to look at
And
your
in fact,
value.
you own that appraisal that the bank did.
yeah, right.
Save it.
Ipso facto.
And bring it to the Board of Revisions. And that will act as your expert value on that property.
Revisions, Board of Revisions.
Board of Revisions, yeah.
Because in the report, on 6 pages out of 46, the landfill's mentioned.
Wow.
You can actually.
I mean, they literally said, That's
You
why
can
my
file,
house
you
isn't
can
worth
file
what
for
it is
that,
anymore.
reduction at any point during the year?
No, that-
Just
the-
March
say,
31st
The
is the
filing period is
deadline.
March 31st, but it falls on a Sunday this year. So April 1st, they will be accepted.
after April 1st, they'll
No,
be,
April 1st is the deadline.
up until
They need
April
to be
1st, you can
postmarked
file with the
April
Board of
1st this
Revisions
year.
at the Sunny County Auditor's
By
Office.
law, it's March 31st.
They'll give you the forms.
I've got the forms for you.
All right, so there was, yes, how are you?
I'm sorry, you guys get to be blessed to hear me talk.
Name and,
My name is Myra Spires. I am one of the closest neighbors of Sunny Farms landfill. I don't know, I'm on 108.
Oh.
I'm on 108.
You had the same discussion with Chuck, was it Chuck?
Chuck Grind?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, same discussion the other day.
Yes, and yeah, I argued with him because
Right.
I was closer than him too. I'm on the other side of 23. They're on this side, I'm on this side. So every time the wind blows to the east, I get to smell the landfill. But I agree with Mr. O'Million, and I had to write this down because I'm a very nervous public speaker. I feel like our homes, our quality of life, and our lives are being affected by the landfill in most negative ways. I feel like you should reduce property taxes for everyone within a 4-mile radius. At the very least, the county needs to stop increasing our property taxes on an annual basis until a solution figured out in regards to the landfill and we are not suffering any longer. We can no longer enjoy our homes because of the ongoing issues from the landfill. When a realtor is trying to sell a house in the area, they are obligated to let them know if there are any issues in the area that they need to be worried about, meaning that they are required to give them a warning or disclosure on the landfill and its issues over the years, which he has proof, a lot of proof. This is not fair to the property owners that live around the landfill, and it is not fair to increase our property values when the appraisals are plummeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, and can I get a copy of that appraisal, actually? Do you have it with you? Yeah. 'cause
Do you
I-
want just the pages that mentions the landfill and the whole
If you
thing?
don't mind, I'd just like to drop it in the copier and just take a look at it, see what the
You can
appraiser's
make a
thinking,
copy of it.
if that's okay.
Now, when I was on the clerk of courts page, I know that it's not really accurate, but there was $35,000 difference on what it says on the clerk of courts of what we paid on our house.
Typically 2/3.
But I don't know how that works. I don't know how those, how the on-site thing
Help
works.
me out here, it's typically 2/3 by 66% value. What is it?
No, we establish market value. We look at sales in the area, and from that, we strive, it's about 90%.
So mine was $35,000 less than what I paid for originally. So I mean, if that's any close to being accurate, we're losing property value. I'll never be able to sell my house, no matter what, no matter how the smell is gone or not, for the simple fact that a landfill is right next to us is the problem. And what could be going into the ground and into the water, it scares people to death. Nobody's gonna ever buy our house.
You do pretty good with our reading.
Oh. I am a good
Get her
talker.
fired up.
If I would've been standing up there, I might have passed out.
All right, any other comments as it relates to the landfill? Okay, I think we have a motion in a second, and can I do a roll call on that?
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Okay, general comments.
I just have a comment about what Marlene said about the road going back to the cemetery. Is the road, I know it's not in stone yet, or is it going through the cemetery or around it?
The way Mark designed it is it'll go to the cemetery and there'll be a turnaround there. At this point is what we're looking at to bid. And then at some point, if we can find grant funding or whatever, it will go around it and we'll have to work those out, both with our tenant and with the sisters. I mean, there's some work to do there.
Well, I just have a concern going through that cemetery because I'm pretty sure there's some graves, might be some graves unmarked. And I don't know if you want to put a road over a grave. We could talk about that later.
Yep, that's new information. Other comments for the good of the order?
Yeah. If it comes around.
Okay. Yep.
Personnel and sale of property.
Okay. So I will go into executive session regarding personnel and sale of property.
Try to.
Second, roll call.
Commissioner Stacy? Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. All right, we don't expect any action coming out of executive committee. You're welcome to stay.
So David was worth $22,000 per hour today?
Best hour I've spent all year.